The cleaning lady found something she wasn't supposed to find. That's how this whole mess started. With Mrs. Rodriguez, no, wait, Mrs. Patterson, standing in my bedroom doorway, holding a shoebox like it contained a live snake. Mr. Bennett, she said, her voice tight with the kind of discomfort that comes from stumbling into someone else's dirty laundry. I found this behind your wife's dresser. It fell when I was dusting. I set down my coffee mug and walked over, already knowing this wasn't going to be good. The box was one of those fancy department store ones, the kind Carla used for storing her expensive shoes. But when Mrs. Patterson lifted the lid, shoes weren't what we found. A men's Rolex, not mine. A hotel keycard from the Riverside Inn. Definitely not ours. We hadn't stayed there since our anniversary 3 years ago. And underneath it all, like the cherry on top of a very bitter sundae, a used condom wrapper. I'm sorry, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Patterson whispered. I didn't mean to. It's fine, I said, though nothing about this was fine. My voice came out steady, which surprised me. 20 years in the Navy teaches you to keep your composure when everything goes sideways. Just finish up downstairs, would you? She nodded and practically ran from the room. I stood there holding the box, feeling like I'd just been handed evidence of my own execution. The Rolex was expensive, more expensive than anything I could afford on my handyman business income. The hotel keycard was dated last Tuesday, when Carla claimed she was visiting her sick mother in Portland. My phone buzzed. Text from Carla. How's the cleaning going? Hope she's not making too much noise. Be home by 6. Love you. Love you. Right. I took pictures of everything with my phone, careful to get the dates and details. Then I put the box back exactly where Mrs. Patterson had found it. If Carla wanted to play games, I'd play along. But I'd be playing by my rules now. The rest of the afternoon crawled by like a wounded animal. Mrs. Patterson finished her work in record time and left without her usual small talk. I sat in my workshop in the garage, pretending to organize tools while my mind raced through possibilities. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe the box belonged to someone else. Maybe pigs would sprout wings and start doing aerial acrobatics. At 5:47, Carla's Honda pulled into the driveway. I watched through the workshop window as she got out, checking her appearance in the side mirror before walking to the house. She looked good, too good for someone who'd supposedly spent the day caring for her ailing mother. Her hair was perfect, her makeup fresh, and she was wearing the black dress I'd complimented her on last month. I gave her 10 minutes to discover the box was missing, then walked into the house. Jack! Her voice was sharp with panic. Jack, get up here right now. I climbed the stairs slowly, taking my time. She was standing in the bedroom, still in that black dress, her face flushed with what I now recognized wasn't embarrassment, it was fear. Someone was in our house, she said. That cleaning woman you hired. She took something of mine. Took something? I kept my voice level. What kind of something? A box, with some personal items, family jewelry. The lie came so easily I almost admired her for it. Almost. What did this jewelry look like? She hesitated just long enough to confirm what I already knew. A watch that belonged to my grandfather. Some old cufflinks. Nothing valuable, just sentimental. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos. Her face went white, then red, then white again. Where did you get those? She whispered. Mrs. Patterson found your grandfather's watch, I said. Funny thing though, your grandfather's been gone 15 years, but this Rolex was manufactured last year. Must be some kind of miracle. Carla's phone buzzed. She glanced at it automatically, and I caught a glimpse of the name on the screen. Vinny. Who's Vinny? I asked. Nobody. A work contact. Another lie. Smooth as silk. Must be urgent, the way he keeps texting. Her phone buzzed again, and again. She turned it face down on the dresser, but not before I saw there were 12 unread messages. Jack, I can explain. I'm sure you can. I picked up the hotel keycard from the box. The Riverside Inn. Nice place. Expensive. When did you stay there? I never. Tuesday, according to the date on this card. Same day you were supposedly in Portland with your mother. Should I call her and ask how she's feeling? The silence stretched between us like a tightrope. Carla's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. Her phone buzzed again. You might want to answer that, I said. Vinny seems worried about you. That's when I saw it. The exact moment my wife realized she'd been caught. Not just caught cheating, but caught lying, caught scheming, caught being someone I didn't recognize. Her shoulders sagged. and for a second I thought she might actually tell me the truth. Instead, she straightened up and looked me right in the eye. So what if I did? What are you going to do about it? The question hung in the air like smoke. What was I going to do about it? The old Jack, the one who'd spent 15 years of marriage trying to make his wife happy, who'd worked double shifts to pay for her expensive tastes, who'd believed her lies because it was easier than facing the truth, that Jack would have yelled, maybe thrown something, definitely made a scene. But I wasn't that Jack anymore. That Jack had ended the moment Mrs. Patterson handed me that box. Nothing, I said quietly. I'm not going to do anything about it. Carla blinked, confused. She'd been braced for anger, for accusations, for drama. My calm response threw her off balance. Nothing, that's right. You're a grown woman. You can make your own choices. I headed for the door, then paused. Just one question, though. How long? How long what? How long have you been planning to destroy everything we built together? She didn't answer, but she didn't need to. Her phone buzzed again, and this time she grabbed it eagerly, like a lifeline. I went back to my workshop and started planning. The next morning, I woke up before dawn and did something I hadn't done in years. I went for a run. Not because I needed the exercise, though my 42-year-old body could use it, but because I needed to think, and I always thought better when I was moving. The streets of Millbrook were quiet at 5:30 a.m., just the way I liked them. This town had been my home for 8 years, ever since I'd left the Navy and married Carla. It wasn't much to look at, a collection of tired houses and struggling businesses clustered around what used to be a thriving mill district. But it was ours, or at least I'd thought it was. By the time I got back to the house, Carla was in the kitchen making coffee. She looked up when I walked in, and for a moment we stared at each other like strangers. You went running, she said. Needed to clear my head. About yesterday. I told you, I'm not going to do anything about it. I poured myself a cup of coffee and sat down at the kitchen table. But I am curious about one thing. This Vinny character, where'd you meet him? She hesitated. Through work. What kind of work does he do? Security consulting. I almost laughed. Security consulting. In a town like Millbrook, that was code for either private investigation or something a lot less legal. Sounds interesting. Maybe I should meet him sometime. That's not necessary. Oh, but I think it is. After all, any friend of my wife's is a friend of mine, right? Carla's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then at me. I have to go to work. Sure. Hey, before you go, your car's been making that noise again. Why don't you take mine today? I'll work on yours while you're gone. She looked suspicious, but she couldn't argue with the logic. Her Honda had been making a grinding noise for weeks, and I'd been promising to fix it. Thanks. After she left, I popped the hood of her car and removed the starter relay. Simple fix. The car wouldn't start, but there'd be no permanent damage. Then I called my buddy Tom Grissom. Grizz, I said when he answered. You busy today? Never too busy for you, Jack. What's going on? Tom and I had served together in the Navy. He'd moved to Millbrook 6 months ago, ostensibly to help me with the handyman business, but really because civilian life hadn't been treating him well. He was the kind of guy you wanted in your corner when things got complicated. Need some surveillance work. My wife's having an affair. Ah, man, I'm sorry. You want me to follow her? Not her, him. Guy named Vinny. Security consultant. Whatever that means. I'll find out what it means. Where do you want to meet? Crimson Tap, noon. The Crimson Tap was Millbrook's only decent bar, which wasn't saying much, but it was the kind of place where people talked, and I needed information. I spent the morning working on a kitchen renovation for Mrs. Appleton, my elderly neighbor. She was the kind of woman who knew everyone's business and wasn't shy about sharing it. How's that pretty wife of yours? She asked while I installed her new cabinet handles. She's fine, working hard. I'm sure she is. Saw her the other day with a man I didn't recognize. Tall fellow, dark hair. They seemed friendly. I kept my expression neutral. Probably a work colleague. Probably, though they were holding hands, which seemed odd for colleagues. But then, young people these days have different ideas about professional relationships. Mrs. Appleton was 78 and sharp as a tack. She'd seen exactly what I thought she'd seen. When was this? Tuesday afternoon, around 2 o'clock. They were coming out of the Riverside Inn. Tuesday, the same day as the hotel keycard. Well, I said, tightening a screw with more force than necessary, I'm sure there's an explanation. I'm sure there is, dear. There always is. At noon, I met Grizz at the Crimson Tap. The lunch crowd was thin, a few construction workers, some retirees nursing beers, and the usual collection of people who had nowhere else to be. "So," Grizz said, settling into a booth in the back corner, "tell me about this Vinny character." Vincent Russo, according to Carla's phone, claims to be a security consultant. I'm guessing he's either a private investigator or something less legitimate. Russo, Grizz frowned. That name rings a bell. Give me a few hours to make some calls. What kind of bell? The kind that suggests your wife has expensive taste in men. We ordered burgers and talked about safer subjects while I waited for Carla to discover her car wouldn't start. Right on schedule, my phone rang at 12:47. "Jack, my car won't start. Can you come pick me up?" "Can't. I'm at a job site across town. Call a cab." "A cab?" "Jack, that'll cost $30. Then call Vinny. I'm sure he'd be happy to help." The silence on the other end told me everything I needed to know. "I'll figure something out," she said finally. "I'm sure you will." After lunch, I drove past Carla's office building. Sure enough, there was a black Camaro in the parking lot that hadn't been there that morning. I made a note of the license plate and headed home. Carla got back at 6:30, an hour later than usual. She looked frustrated and tired. "How'd you get home?" I asked. "Megan gave me a ride." Megan was Carla's coworker and best friend. If anyone knew about the affair, it would be her. "That was nice of her. Did you fix your car?" I looked at it. "Probably just a loose connection. Should be fine tomorrow." But it wouldn't be fine tomorrow, because I planned to remove a different component each day until she either told me the truth or found another way to meet her boyfriend. That evening, we sat in the living room watching television like a normal married couple. But everything had changed. Every word was measured, every gesture calculated. We were playing a game now, and neither of us was ready to show our cards. Around 10 o'clock, Carla excused herself to take a shower. I waited until I heard the water running, then checked her purse. Her phone was there, and she'd left it unlocked. 47 text messages from Vinny in the past 2 days. Most of them were exactly what you'd expect. Arrangements to meet, complaints about secrecy, promises of what they'd do together. But the most recent ones were different. "We need to talk about the plan. Jack's getting suspicious. Maybe we should move faster. The business account information you gave me checks out. We can make this work. Once we're together, you won't have to pretend anymore." I took screenshots of everything and put the phone back where I'd found it. Then I sat in my chair and waited for my wife to come back downstairs, wondering how long she'd been planning to steal my business along with my marriage. The shower stopped running. A few minutes later, Carla appeared in the doorway, wearing a robe I'd bought her for Christmas. "I'm tired," she said. "I think I'll go to bed early." "Good idea. You've had a long day." She started toward the stairs, then paused. "Jack, are we okay?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and tried to remember when she'd stopped being the woman I'd married and started being a stranger wearing her face. "No, we're fine, Carla. Everything's exactly the way it should be." She nodded and went upstairs. I stayed in my chair until I heard the bedroom door close. Then I got out my laptop and started researching Vincent Russo. What I found wasn't pretty. 3 arrests, 2 convictions, 1 prison sentence for fraud. Currently on parole. Last known address was a trailer park 20 miles outside town. My wife wasn't just having an affair. She was having an affair with a career criminal who apparently thought my handyman business was worth stealing. I closed the laptop and smiled for the first time in 2 days. If Vinny wanted to play games with other people's lives, I'd be happy to teach him the rules. Thursday morning brought rain and revelation. While Carla struggled with her mysteriously malfunctioning car, I'd removed the fuel pump relay this time. I paid a visit to the Riverside Inn. The desk clerk was a kid named Danny, who couldn't have been more than 20. He had the eager-to-please attitude of someone who'd watched too many crime shows and thought he was helping solve a mystery. "I'm trying to track down some fraudulent charges on my credit card," I told him, showing him a printout I'd made at home. My wife's card was supposedly used here Tuesday, but she was out of town. "Let me check our records." Danny's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Room 237. Checked in at 2:15 p.m. Checked out at 5:30 p.m. Paid with a card ending in 4472. That was Carla's Visa number. Was she alone? Danny glanced around nervously. "I'm not supposed to give out guest information." I slid a 20 across the counter. "It's my wife's card. I just need to know if someone else was using it." "There were 2 people," Danny said, pocketing the bill. "A woman matching the name on the card and a man. Tall guy, dark hair, expensive clothes. They seemed close. I bet they did. Thanks, Danny. I left the hotel with confirmation of what I already knew and drove to my next stop, the Crimson Tap. Grizz was waiting for me with a folder full of information and a grim expression. Your boy Vinny's been busy, he said, sliding the folder across the table. Vincent Michael Russo, age 38, 2 years in state prison for running a construction scam. Took deposits from homeowners and disappeared. Got out 8 months ago. What's he doing in Millbrook? Officially? Living in the Shady Oaks trailer park and working part-time at a security company in the city. Unofficially? Word is he's looking for his next score. I flipped through the papers Grizz had assembled. Criminal record, parole officer contact information, employment history, even a few surveillance photos taken outside a bar in the city. How'd you get all this? I still have friends in useful places, but Jack, there's something else. This guy's not working alone. What do you mean? He's got a partner, Paul Hendricks, another ex-con. They've been seen together around town, asking questions about local businesses, specifically businesses that might be vulnerable to certain kinds of fraud, like a small handyman operation run by a trusting husband whose wife has access to all the financial information. Exactly like that. I studied the photos of Vinny. He was better looking than I'd expected, with the kind of confident smile that probably worked well on lonely wives. But there was something in his eyes that I recognized from my Navy days, the look of a man who'd do whatever it took to get what he wanted. There's more, Grizz said. I talked to a guy who knew Vinny in prison, says he's got a thing for married women, likes the challenge, and likes the access to their husband's assets. So this isn't personal, it's just business. For him, maybe. Question is, what's it for you? I closed the folder and looked around the bar. A few regulars were nursing afternoon beers, watching a baseball game on the TV above the bar. Normal people living normal lives, unaware that their neighbor's world was falling apart. It's personal now, I said. That evening, I implemented phase 2 of my plan. While Carla was on the phone with her mother, actually on the phone this time, I'd checked. I installed a GPS tracker on her car. Not the kind of high-tech device you see in movies, just a simple magnetic unit I'd ordered online. If she was going to keep lying about where she went, I wanted to know the truth. I also made some modifications to our home computer. Nothing illegal, just activated the parental monitoring software I'd installed years ago when we'd talked about having kids. Every website visit, every email, every chat message would be logged and backed up to a secure server. Carla came into the kitchen as I was finishing dinner. That smells good, she said, but her voice was distracted. Chicken parmesan, your favorite. Thanks. She sat down at the table and picked at her food. Jack, I've been thinking about what happened the other day. Maybe we should talk to someone, a counselor or something. You think we need counseling? I think we need to figure out how to fix this. I set down my fork and looked at her. She was trying. I had to give her credit for that. But it was too little, too late. What exactly are we fixing, Carla? The lying, the cheating, or just the fact that you got caught? I made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk at the store. This was a choice. A series of choices. You're right. I'm sorry. I'll end it. End what, exactly? She hesitated. Whatever this is with Vinny. What is it with Vinny? Nothing. It was nothing. The hotel receipts suggest otherwise. It was just, I was lonely, Jack. You're always working. And I felt like we were drifting apart. It was a good speech. She'd probably been practicing it. But I'd seen the text messages about business accounts and moving faster. This wasn't about loneliness. Okay, I said. End it. Okay, I will. Good. I'm glad we talked, but we both knew she wouldn't end it. She couldn't, because whatever scheme she and Vinny were running was already in motion. All I had to do was wait and watch. After dinner, I went to my workshop and started preparing for the next phase. I had a plan now, one that would give Vinny and Carla exactly what they deserved, but it required patience, timing, and the kind of attention to detail I'd learned in the military. My phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Stay away from things that don't concern you. I smiled and deleted the message. Vinny was getting nervous. Good. Nervous people made mistakes, and I was counting on him making a big one. I texted back. Who is this? No response. An hour later, another message. You don't know who you're messing with. This time I responded. Neither do you. The next message came immediately. We should meet. Talk this out like men. Perfect. He was taking the bait. When and where? I typed. Tomorrow night. Crimson Tap, 9 p.m. Come alone. I stared at the phone for a long moment, then typed my response. See you there. Phase 3 was about to begin. Friday evening at the Crimson Tap felt different. The usual crowd was there, construction workers unwinding after a long week, retirees arguing about sports, couples on awkward dates. But there was an undercurrent of tension that seemed to follow me through the door. I arrived at 8:45 and chose a table near the back, where I could see both entrances and keep my back to the wall. Old habits from my military days. Grizz was at the bar, nursing a beer and pretending to watch the game. But I knew he was watching me. Vinny walked in at exactly 9 p.m. He was taller than I'd expected, maybe 6'2", with the kind of build that suggested he spent time in a gym. His clothes were expensive. Designer jeans, leather jacket, shoes that probably cost more than I made in a week. He looked around the bar until he spotted me, then walked over with the confident stride of a man who'd never lost a fight. Jack Bennett, he said, extending his hand. I'm Vinny. I didn't shake it. I know who you are. He sat down across from me, unfazed by the slight. Look, I think we got off on the wrong foot here. I'm not looking for trouble. Funny way of showing it, considering you're sleeping with my wife. That's complicated. Is it? Seems pretty straightforward to me. You're screwing my wife and planning to steal my business. What's complicated about that? His confident expression flickered for just a moment. I don't know what you're talking about. I pulled out my phone and showed him one of the screenshots I'd taken. His face went pale as he read his own words about business accounts and moving faster. You left her phone unlocked, I said. Sloppy. Vinny leaned back in his chair, reassessing. Okay, so you know. What do you want? I want you to disappear. Tonight. Leave town and don't come back. He laughed, but it sounded forced. Or what? Or I make your life very unpleasant. You threatening me? I'm promising you. The laughter died. Vinny leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. You have no idea who you're dealing with, old man. I've been in places that would make you wet yourself. I've done things. You've been in minimum security prison for running a construction scam, I interrupted. You bilked retirees out of their savings and got caught because you were too greedy and too stupid to cover your tracks. Now you're on parole, living in a trailer park, and thinking my wife is your ticket to easy money. His jaw tightened. You don't know anything. I know you're a small-time con man who picked the wrong mark. I leaned forward, matching his whisper. I know you think Carla's going to help you steal my business accounts. I know you've got a partner named Paul who's probably waiting outside in case this goes badly. And I know that if you don't walk away right now, you're going to regret it. When to regret it? Vinny's hand moved toward his jacket, then stopped. You wearing a wire? I don't need a wire. Half the people in this bar know me, and they're all watching you threaten a local business owner. How do you think that's going to play with your parole officer? He glanced around the bar and realized I was right. The bartender, a guy named Mike who'd done some work for me last year, was definitely paying attention. So were a couple of the regulars. This isn't over, Vinny said, standing up. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. He started to walk away, then turned back. Your wife doesn't love you, you know. She told me. She's just waiting for the right moment to leave. Then you're doing me a favor. That threw him off balance. He'd expected anger, jealousy, maybe even violence. My calm acceptance wasn't part of his script. You're a cold bastard, he said. I'm a practical man, and practically speaking, you're a problem that needs solving. After he left, Grizz came over and sat down. That went well. He's rattled. Good. What's next? Now we wait. He'll make his move soon, and when he does, we'll be ready. But I didn't have to wait long. Saturday morning, I woke up to find my truck's tires slashed and back off, spray painted across the windshield. Vinny's subtlety was about what I'd expected. I called the police and filed a report, making sure to mention that I'd been receiving threatening text messages from an unknown number. Officer Martinez took down all the information and promised to increase patrols in the neighborhood. Any idea who might have done this? He asked. I have suspicions, but no proof. Well, if anything else happens, call us immediately. After he left, I called my insurance company and arranged for the truck to be towed. Then I called Grizz. He took the bait, I said. Vandalized my truck. Want me to pay him a visit? Not yet. Let's see how far he's willing to go. The answer came that afternoon. I was working in my shop when Carla came home from her errands. She walked into the garage carrying grocery bags and stopped when she saw me. "I heard about your truck," she said. "That's terrible. Word travels fast." Mrs. Appleton called me. She said she saw someone in our driveway around midnight. Did she get a look at who it was? She said it was too dark to see clearly. Carla was lying. Mrs. Appleton had night vision security cameras and the curiosity of a professional spy. If she'd seen something, she'd gotten a clear look. "I'm sure the police will figure it out," I said. "Jack, maybe this is connected to what we talked about the other day. Maybe someone doesn't want you digging into things." "What things would those be?" "You know what I mean." "Actually, I don't. Why don't you spell it out for me?" She set down the grocery bags and looked at me with what might have been genuine concern. "If you're investigating me or Vinny, maybe you should stop. Some people don't like being investigated. Are you worried about me, Carla? Or are you worried about yourself?" "I'm worried about both of us." "Then maybe you should have thought about that before you started planning to rob me blind." Her face went white. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do. The question is, are you going to keep lying, or are you going to tell me the truth?" For a moment, I thought she might actually come clean. Her shoulders sagged, and she looked like she was carrying the weight of the world. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and whatever moment of honesty we might have had evaporated. "I have to go," she said. "Megan needs help with something." "Of course she does." After she left, I checked the GPS tracker. She wasn't going to Megan's house. She was heading toward the trailer park where Vinny lived. I gave them an hour, then drove out there myself. Carla's car was parked outside a double-wide trailer, with a black Camaro in the driveway. I parked across the street and waited. They came out together 45 minutes later. Carla looked upset, and Vinny was gesturing angrily. They were having an argument, probably about me and how much I knew. As I watched, a third person emerged from the trailer. Paul Hendricks, according to the photos Grizz had shown me. He was shorter than Vinny but broader, with the kind of build that suggested he'd learned to fight in unpleasant places. The three of them stood in the driveway talking for several minutes. Then Paul went back inside, and Carla got in her car. She drove away without looking back. Vinny watched her go, then pulled out his phone and made a call. Even from across the street, I could see he was agitated. I drove home and waited. Whatever they were planning, it was happening soon. All I had to do was be ready for it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to my wife, listening to her breathe and wondering how long she'd been planning to betray me. When had she stopped being the woman I'd married and started being a stranger? When had I stopped being her husband and started being her mark? Around 3 a.m., I gave up on sleep and went downstairs. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, thinking about choices and consequences. My phone buzzed. Another text from Vinny's number. "Last warning, back off or face the consequences." I typed back. "What consequences?" The response came immediately. "You'll find out." I smiled in the darkness. Vinny was about to learn that consequences worked both ways. Sunday brought the kind of gray, drizzly weather that matched my mood. I woke up early and found Carla already gone. Her note said she was having brunch with Megan, but the GPS tracker told a different story. She was at the Riverside Inn again. I made breakfast and ate it alone, then called Grizz. "They're getting desperate," I told him. "Meeting in broad daylight now. Desperate people do stupid things. That's what I'm counting on." I spent the morning working on Mrs. Appleton's kitchen renovation. She was full of gossip, as usual. "Terrible thing about your truck," she said, handing me a cup of coffee. "I saw the whole thing on my security cameras. Did you get a clear look at who did it?" "Oh yes, that man who's been visiting your wife. The tall one with the expensive clothes." I nearly dropped my coffee cup. "You saw him clearly?" "Clear as day. He had a flashlight, but he didn't think to look up at the cameras. I've got the whole thing recorded." "Mrs. Appleton, you might have just solved my problem." "I certainly hope so. That man has a bad aura about him. I've seen his type before, charming on the surface, rotten underneath." "Would you be willing to give that recording to the police?" Already did, dear. Officer Martinez picked it up yesterday evening." I finished installing her cabinet doors in record time, my mind racing with possibilities. If the police had clear video evidence of Vinny vandalizing my truck, they could arrest him for destruction of property. That would violate his parole and send him back to prison. But as I drove home, I realized that wasn't enough. Prison was temporary. He'd get out eventually and probably come looking for revenge. I needed something more permanent. Carla was home when I arrived, sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open. She looked up when I walked in, and I could see the guilt written across her face. "How was brunch?" I asked. "Fine. Megan's having problems with her boyfriend." "What kind of problems?" "The usual. He's not ready to commit. Some men are like that. They want all the benefits of a relationship without any of the responsibility." She flinched at the implied comparison. "It's not that simple, isn't it? Seems pretty straightforward to me. Either you're committed to someone or you're not. Jack, we need to talk. I'm listening." She closed the laptop and took a deep breath. "I think we should separate for a while. Give each other some space to figure things out." "Whose idea was that? Yours or Vinny's?" "It's my idea. I think it would be best for both of us." "And where would you go during this separation?" "I could stay with Megan for a while." Another lie. The GPS tracker had never shown her car at Megan's house. "What about the business? You handle all the bookkeeping. We could work something out. Maybe I could do it remotely. Or maybe Vinny could help you with it." Her face went red. "This has nothing to do with Vinny." "Everything has to do with Vinny. The question is, are you going to keep pretending otherwise?" Before she could answer, my phone rang. "Officer Martinez." "Mr. Bennett, we've made an arrest in the vandalism of your truck. Vincent Russo. We've got him on video, and he's admitted to the crime." "That's great news." "There's more. His parole officer is recommending revocation. He'll probably be back in prison by